Do you often feel anxious when talking to other people? I'll show you how by working with your inner chimp, human and computer, you can begin to reduce this. The Chimp Paradox by Prof Steve Peters can help you to manage your emotions and boost your social confidence. In this video, I'll give you some insights into how you can learn to tame your inner chimp and transform your social interactions. Hey there, I'm Neil and I struggle with social anxiety for more than 2 decades. On this channel, every week, I'll be bringing you the best methods and strategies that I've used in my own life to feel more confident. Professor Peters theorizes that everybody has a metaphorical chimp inside of them, and the chimp is responsible for the emotional part of our brain, and it can often be very irrational. The chimp is the ancient part of our brain that was built for survival, and it operates by the laws of the jungle and does this by using very powerful drives and instincts. Our chimp will react very quickly to stimulus. It will think independently of us, and it can often trigger thoughts and feelings that can be either very helpful or unhelpful in their nature, and it will use these feelings to jump to conclusions and will frequently ignore the facts and logic of a situation. It thinks in terms of black and white, and the reactions it has can oftentimes be very destructive, and it will usually take one possibility and not consider any of the alternatives. Professor Peters says that your chimp's personality actually has nothing to do with you, it's just a machine that you were given to use and work with, and that you may actually have a personality that's very different to your chimp. Our chimp is a lot quicker to receive and act upon information than the human part of our brain. So for example, say if you go to cross the road and you suddenly step back without even realizing it, that's because your chimp has reacted to protect you before the human part of your brain has even had a chance to think. The human part of our brain isn't quick enough to respond in time, so it's up to our chimp to react and protect us through instinct. The same thing could be said if you've ever pulled your hand away from a hot stove. In the case of social anxiety, this could be where you suddenly experience a jolt through your solar plexus, perhaps your forehead or some other part of your body. Maybe if you've been walking down the street, or you just hear a loud noise or look somebody in the eye and you suddenly feel on edge, then this is your chimp reacting because it thinks you're in danger before the human part of your brain has had a chance to rationalize the situation. The human part of our brain is rational, logical and factual based. It's the analytical part of our brain that processes information before taking action. This is the area of deep thinking that allows us to work out puzzles and problems and to make tricky decisions by using facts and truths. Logic is the human's basis for thinking and acting. The human brain operates by the laws of society, and it's the part of the brain that is who you really are. The computer is the memory bank where information such as learned experiences, learned behaviours and beliefs are stored for future references. It recognizes patterns and it will make decisions for us. It will store any information that the human or chimp parts of our brain have put into it, and this information can be either helpful or unhelpful. The computer is more powerful than both the human and the chimp parts of our brain because it's the source of reference that both will consult for guidance. When either the human or the chimp spring into action, then they will consult the computer for advice. The computer is 20 times faster than the human part of the brain, and it's 4 times faster than the chimp. Any of the 3 parts can take complete control of our brain, but most of the time they will work together. The human, the chimp and the computer can all have inherited traits passed down to them, and those that inherit anxiety traits will find it more difficult to remain calm. So the key point to remember is that the person that you want to be is the person that you really are. You are simply being hijacked by your chimp. So in social anxiety's case, the anxiety that you experience is not you, it's not who you are, it's simply some unhelpful habits and behaviours that you picked up along the way that you can unlearn. Sometimes the human and chimp parts of our brain will agree with each other and it's fine, but there are often times where the two will disagree, and in these situations the chimp is much stronger, so most of the time it's going to win out and it will take control of your thoughts, emotions and actions. He says that the first step is to accept that the chimp inside of you will not change, and that once the chimp has decided to act, it can be very difficult to control. Self-control will simply not work because the chimp is much stronger than the human. You can't arm wrestle the chimp. A real chimp has 5 times the strength of the average human being. You must learn to manage your chimp like it's an emotional child, and in order to do this you must pre-program your computer so that the chimp will not be able to hijack your thinking. Whenever the chimp takes control, we become emotional, reactive and impulsive, and this can lead to things like negative self-talk, and then we might personalize any feedback we get from people that we think is negative. We become reactive to situations rather than responding in an appropriate, rational manner, and this can lead to a lot of fear, anger and anxiety as a result. Working on programming your computer consistently is the easiest way to handle your chimp, because that's where it will look on how to act, and this will allow the human step in to have a more rational, appropriate course of action. The golden rule here is that whenever you have emotions, thoughts and behaviours that you don't want, you are being hijacked by your chimp. You don't have to follow your emotions, you have a choice. Your chimp is just making you an offer, it's not a command. We've established that the best way to manage your chimp is to learn how to manage your computer. So the computer has 4 main elements. The first are autopilots, so these are the helpful or constructive beliefs or behaviours that you might have. Next there are gremlins, and these are the unhelpful or the destructive beliefs or behaviours, and when you find them you can usually manage to remove them, and they tend to occur after around the age of 8 years old. Next there are goblins, and these are similar to gremlins, but unlike gremlins they can be extremely difficult to remove, and they usually occur before around the age of 8 years old. And then finally there's the stone of life, which contains the values or beliefs by which you live your life. When we're born, our computer is essentially an empty drive, and then as we grow up, we form our programs on how to survive and thrive. Many of these will become our core beliefs and values. They will influence our personality, behaviour and how we lead our life in general. So the gremlins and the goblins, these are essentially, in social anxiety's case, the inner critic, all the automatic negative thoughts that we experience. Examples of goblins might be things like I never succeed, I'm not capable, everyone else has it easier than me, I'm unlikable, and these can be very difficult to remove entirely, so we just have to learn to reduce them, contain them, because we can't really completely get rid of caring about what other people think of us. Gremlins get created by negative messages over time and from just a lack of control over events in our life, and these will show up when we have unrealistic and unhelpful expectations about people, and it can lead to doing things like beating ourselves up and just all the negative self-talk, the inner critic, that kind of thing. These can show up in the forms of shoulds, musts and perfectionism, so things like saying I should never make a mistake, I must never fail in front of other people. Gremlins can be easier to remove than goblins, but they do still require work. And we've probably become so accustomed to all these negative thoughts going through our mind because we've been doing it for so many years that it's just become a habit, and it's just something now that's become on autopilot. To start replacing these gremlins, we need to begin identifying them and replacing them with a more helpful belief that can then become autopilot. And then once we do this enough, the chimp will then default to actually starting to use these instead of the old unhelpful destructive beliefs. Do you ever wonder why you constantly worry about pleasing other people and trying to impress them, or just simply wondering in general what they think about you? These are likely due to the chimp's drive putting a few gremlins into the computer, and if you're stuck with the above thoughts, then it's likely that your troop drive is out of control. Basically, the troop is a small band of people, and it's something that nearly all chimps need, but it's something that most humans would like, so there is a difference. Some people may feel just happy with their partner in their troop, whereas other people may need much more sizable ones. There are no rules when it comes to this, and most troops will include partners, friends and close family members. What this means for social anxiety is that if you're not satisfied with your troop, then your chimp is probably going to be on the lookout for other people to join it, which means you're probably more likely to get stuck in the things like people pleasing and caring more what other people think about you. And then if you do manage to make new friends and become more satisfied with your social life in general, then with time you'll naturally start to care less about what other people think of you, so your baseline level of anxiety will likely reduce as a result of that, because you just won't care so much anymore, and it won't be looking to seek that reassurance from others outside of your troop in the same way as before. As far as self-confidence goes, your chimp will base its confidence levels on its ability to reach certain levels that it thinks it must achieve, and it will not be able to deal with the consequences of not reaching these levels. The human in you will base its confidence levels on doing its best to try and reach certain levels, and as an adult you'll be able to deal with the consequences of not achieving those. Although it's easier said than done, if you can always base your confidence levels on what the human thinks, then you'll always have 100% confidence, because you'll always be trying your best, and there's nothing more that you can do than that. So the two choices for confidence are to base it on the belief in your own ability, or to base it on doing your best. You can never guarantee what you're going to achieve in life, so if you constantly look to your chimp for reassurance, then you're always going to feel a sense of unease in your life, because you'll constantly see the threat of failure. If, for example, you're giving a presentation, then if you looked at it through the lens of the chimp, you'd be thinking about trying to impress other people by giving the most amazing talk. But if you looked at it from the human's perspective, then you'd be thinking about just getting up there and giving it your best effort and learning from the experience. If you do manage to go with the human approach for this situation, you'll find it a lot easier to relax, because even if things go wrong, you always know you tried your best and you gave it 100% effort. The main strategies of the Chimp Paradox are based around some of the principles of cognitive behavioural therapy, in that you can think your way to feeling more confident, and this holds true with the things like gremlins and goblins in the book. You can only do this, however, when you're not in chimp mode, when you're no longer feeling anxious and your chimp has calmed down, so it's actually ready to listen to rationality. I think for most people with social anxiety, our chimp drives are out of control, and that is part of the problem. This book gives a really good overview into some of the principles that underline things like social anxiety, and in future videos I'll go into more detail and break down some of these a lot more. If you enjoyed this video, then check out my next one, where I'll be talking about some relaxation strategies that you can use to begin to calm your chimp down. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this content valuable, then please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.